Reports from committees. Prime Minister's questions.
Member for Couva South.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Prime Minister, will the Prime Minister inform this House if the Cabinet has been advised when the investigation launched by the Occupational Safety and Health Agency into the accident which led to the deaths of 4 divers at Paria Fuel Trading Company on the 25th of February 2022 will be completed?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, as the member knows, the investigation by OSHA on the law is not a matter for the Cabinet until a report is produced. No report has been produced, and therefore there is no role for the Cabinet at this time, and there is nothing to report until the OSHA has done its work, Madam Speaker. This is not at this stage a Cabinet matter.
So?
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Has the government, through the Cabinet, inquired of the timeline when this will be completed through the Minister of Labour?
The government has made no such inquiry because the government expects OSHA on the law to conduct its business with dispatch.
Member for Couva South.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Will the Prime Minister inform this House if the Cabinet has been advised by the state majority-owned telecommunications services of Trinidad and Tobago that it has taken a loan for the sum of $476 million TT to facilitate a retrenchment exercise at the said company?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, as the member knows, TSTT is in the process of corporate restructuring to ensure its continued survival as a profitable enterprise. As part of that restructuring, Madam Speaker, discussions are underway with the recognized trade union as required by law. Funding is required to support the restructuring effort, and TSTT, which is 51% owned by the local population and 49% by a foreign company, is in the process of securing the necessary loan financing. Due to the sensitivity of this matter and the stage it has reached, Madam Speaker, it would be premature and irresponsible of me to say anything further at this time.
Member for Couva South.
So, Prime Minister, could you further advise if indeed 573 people have been identified to lose their jobs through this restructuring exercise?
Could be more.
Madam Speaker, that matter of the number of persons, or any person for that matter, and retrenchment has not been completed, has not been decided. The restructuring details are underway within the company, and Madam Speaker, we'll await the outcome of those discussions in the proper and normal manner.
Member for Faizabad.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 3. Will the Prime Minister indicate whether the government intends to implement any of the recommendations made by the committee appointed to investigate the COVID-19 pandemic?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the answer to that question is yes. The government is addressing the issue of staff comfort and accommodation and has already done so in some areas. Secondly, a national NCD coordinator has been engaged to develop and implement a national NCD policy. Thirdly, data management, inclusive of the matter of electronic health records, is currently being worked on together with the Ministry of Digital Transformation. Fourthly, the mental well-being of staff is ongoing and, in fact, has been ongoing during the pandemic. And fifthly, Madam Speaker, more frequent and empathetic communication with patients and their families has been addressed by the regional authorities. These have been the recommendations coming out of that, and we have acted on it through the Ministry of Health with great alacrity.
Member for Naparima.
Will the Prime Minister state why he declined the invitation to attend the International Energy Conference and Expo in Guyana held over the period February 15 to 18, 2022?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, as all invitations are, the person receiving the invitation is in a position to accept or not accept depending on the circumstances of the invitation. This particular invitation, Madam Speaker, to me to attend personally did not fit with my schedule, but Trinidad and Tobago was fully represented at the conference with the ministry and other agencies involved in strong contingents, and the business of Trinidad and Tobago was in fact conducted as is normal in these matters.
Member for Naparima.
Is the Prime Minister allowing his personal friendship with the former President David Granger to cloud his judgment regarding our foreign policy towards Guyana?
Member for Naparima. That does not qualify as a supplemental question based on the original question and the answer. Member for Naparima.
Will the Prime Minister state what more must be done to remove Trinidad and Tobago from the EU blacklist, given that Trinidad and Tobago remains the only CARICOM state listed as a, quote, non-cooperative jurisdiction for tax purposes, end of quote, as of February 24, 2022.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, given the behavior of our colleagues on the other side with respect to these matters, when they came to the Parliament, you would think that this is not a question coming from somebody who's interested in the outcome. Trinidad and Tobago is on Annex 1 of the list of non-cooperative tax jurisdictions as at February 24, 2022. To be removed from this list, Madam Speaker, Trinidad and Tobago has done and is in the process of completing the following. Global Forum Tax Transparency. To become largely compliant with the Global Forum, Trinidad and Tobago is awaiting the next peer review, which is scheduled for its first quarter 2023. This is currently working with the Global Forum. Trinidad and Tobago is currently working with the Global Forum on a technical assistance program to achieve this compliance. Madam Speaker, I myself personally met with a major delegation from the EU not too long ago on this matter, and the EU is cooperating with Trinidad and Tobago in assisting us in doing this. With respect to the BEPS action, 5 harmful tax practices, our tax-free zone regime must be abolished since it is considered by the Global Forum as a harmful tax regime. Trinidad and Tobago has enacted SEZ legislation 2022. We are in the process of operationalizing the new SEZ regime, which includes the drafting of new regulations. Trinidad and Tobago is currently working with the Forum of Harmful Tax Practices Secretariat of the OECD to remove these issues. Action 13, country-by-country reporting. Trinidad and Tobago to introduce country-by-country reporting with respect to transfer pricing. Trinidad and Tobago gave a commitment to the EU to implement same by autumn 2023. This is currently engaging the OECD BEPS Secretariat on an action plan for the way forward. Madam Speaker, we are currently engaged, and the EU is very cooperative with us on this matter.
Member for Naparima.
Has the government sought assistance from our fellow CARICOM states who seem to know what to do to get off the EU list?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the business of Trinidad and Tobago is not identical with the business of our other CARICOM countries. And we in this country are responsible for the business and interests of Trinidad and Tobago, and we are not, in fact, led by what others have done in their situation, which is not identical to Trinidad and Tobago's.
Member for Naparima.
Will the Prime Minister state when the Commission of Inquiry will commence its investigation into the recent deaths of the 4 divers?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the government has done all that is properly required to be done. We have put in place a commission of inquiry, we identified the personnel, and we did indicate at the time, Madam Speaker, that the commission was expected to be a three-man commission, and we did identify 2 persons, and we did indicate that those 2 persons would be able to function as the commission, as the quorum, as we sought the 3rd person from outside of Trinidad and Tobago. What we have been advised as we did that, looking for that 3rd person, Madam Speaker, is that what is possible to be arranged is to have a foreign firm that does these investigations act in a consultant role to the 2-man commission, and that is what we propose to do from here on in, Madam Speaker. And having done that, we will facilitate, as we are facilitating, the physical, infrastructural arrangement and other support for the commission, and it will be up to the chairman of the commission to determine what calls are made for papers and appearances, and the commission will conduct its business as an independent body, independent of the cabinet or of the member for Naparima.
Member for Oropouche East.
Thank you very much. Prime Minister, in light of your response that a 3-man committee is now a 2-man committee supported by a foreign firm, could you indicate to the families, the villagers, the community, and the country when exactly would this commission of inquiry begin its work, bearing in mind it is almost a month since the ill-fated tragedy of the 4 divers?
Member for Oropouche East, I believe that question was asked and answered. Member for Oropouche East.
Second. Thank you. My second supplemental question. Yes.
Member for Oropouche East.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, the member for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's, ate some anatomy of a parrot and can't stay quiet.
All right. Okay, so remember, all members, what is our overriding objective here is to do the people's business with a certain sense of decorum. Okay? And member for Oropouche East, you're invited to ask your question.
I accept the invitation. Prime Minister, again on this matter, could you indicate as of this time whether any family, members of family, children, or anyone associated with the 4 divers have received any compensation of any kind from the government of Trinidad and Tobago?
I have no such information.
Member for Naparima.
Minister, identify in measurable terms the economic benefits derived from his recent visit to Qatar for the 6th Summit of Heads of State and Government of the Gas Exporting Countries Forum.
Madam Speaker, the Gas Exporting Countries Forum represents 70% of the world's gas reserves. Trinidad and Tobago is a founding member. This body also represents 54% of LNG exported globally. We are involved in the global business of exporting LNG. Trinidad and Tobago's attendance at the GCF Heads Summit was crucial and strategic to ensure that our voices were at the decision-making tables. Madam Speaker, the member would know that there is a lobby in the world today which is gathering momentum to decertify gas and, to a certain extent, oil as products in the international energy mix. And international banks are being encouraged not to fund investment and exploration in these businesses. So when the Gas Exporting Countries Forum meet to discuss this danger to Trinidad and Tobago, a country where this is our largest economic input, and we are there to put our voice to defend gas as the clean energy and to ensure that the gas business remains a major part of the energy mix. I don't think a Standard 5 child needs to know that Trinidad and Tobago needs to be there and to have its voice heard in this matter.
Member for Naparima.
Prime Minister, in terms of measurability, Mia Motley left Guyana with 10,000 jobs. Would it not have been better to go to Guyana than to go to Qatar?
What do you have in Guyana? Why you don't go to Guyana if you want to be in Guyana? As a member of parliament in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, you're always talking about Guyana and Barbados. If you're unhappy here, you're free to go. Nobody has tied you here. Don't come and talk to me about me and what. I am the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and I speak for Trinidad and Tobago, and I look after Trinidad and Tobago's interests. And if you have interest in, and Madam Speaker, what is offensive about this? This is the member who disgraced us in New York.
Prime Minister.
You are the only member of any government,
Prime Minister.
the only member of any government that met with.
Order!
Speaker is on her left. What do you think of this?
Yeah, you're not chairing Balizé House General Council meeting.
Prime Minister. Now, members, all members, I remind you of Standing Order 53. This shouting match across the floor will not be tolerated. Member for Nafrima.
And in order 48-6, the Prime Minister is imputing improper motives to me. And I am an honourable man.
Do you have I overrule. Do you have another question?
Will the Prime Minister indicate whether the former Minister of Agriculture provided information to him regarding corruption in the transfer of state lands by senior public officials?
Prime Minister.
The answer is yes.
Member for Oropouche East.
Thank you very much for the one-word answer. Prime Minister, could you indicate whether in this matter, as you did with complaints about firearms and so on, you have sought to establish any committee to investigate the validity of claims by the former Minister of Agriculture of widespread corruption in land dealings?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I can confirm that as early as November 2015, the then Minister of Agriculture, Land and Fisheries spoke to me regarding possible corruption connected to state land development. I gave the Minister advice, which he followed. Thereafter, I received from the Minister right up to the last week letters, reports, and information regarding fraudulent dealings with state land and other aspects of potential criminal conduct. Many involved public officials, including very senior ones. On each occasion, Madam Speaker, I did three things. I listened to what was said, read what was provided, and I instructed the Minister to report the matter to the Commissioner of Police on any other public authority. And I gave the Minister my assurance of full support for any action taken by him. At almost every cabinet meeting, Madam Speaker, I gave the Minister the fullest opportunity to discuss matters with the cabinet, and on many occasions he did, right up to the last cabinet meeting last Wednesday. And to the best of my knowledge, some of those matters are with the police, being acted upon by the police, and if there are other matters which are still before us to go to other authorities, they will be so forwarded.
Member for Nafrima. Member for Oropouche East.
Thank you very much. Prime Minister, could you confirm whether or not those reports that came to you involved the conduct of any current cabinet minister in this sordid affair of stealing state lands?
Madam Speaker, I am happy to report that none of the reports, none of the documents provided to me on this particular subject involves any person in the cabinet which I lead.
Member for Caroni Central.
Will the Prime Minister inform the House on the status of the investigation into the collapse of the roadway at Mosquito Creek?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, the construction of the Mosquito Creek incorporates 2.4 kilometers of northbound carriageways and includes miscellaneous works that are revetment, seawall, bridges, and utility relocation, amongst other aspects. Approximately 2 kilometers of the southbound carriageway has been successfully opened to the traffic since 2019. Within the ongoing construction zone of the 2.4 northbound carriageway, a localized 180-meter failure zone occurred. On Saturday, January 22nd, 2022, the National Infrastructure Development Company, NIDCO, confirmed a slope instability along the northern carriageway of the Mosquito Creek. In an effort to minimize propagation of the failure, the cracks were initially covered to prevent ingress of surface runoff, and the earth fill and pavement loads on the embankment were immediately reduced. The area is presently being monitored on a daily basis by the project managers of NIDCO and ACOM, the project engineer. NIDCO has engaged the services of Earth Investigation Services Limited, led by the geotechnical engineer, Dr. Derek Gay. Dr. Gay, together with ACOM's team of technical experts, is at present investigating the road failure in an effort to determine causality and propose a suitable solution. Specialist equipment was required, which recently arrived in Trinidad and Tobago. Approximately 50 cone penetration tests are to be undertaken, with 14 completed as of today. Analysis of the information received is undergoing and will form the basis of a report for the Ministry of Works and Transport. To review the final report submitted by NIDCO, the Ministry of Works and Transport has appointed a committee comprising senior engineers, chaired by the Ministry's Chief Technical Officer. Additionally, the Ministry has requested the assistance of the CAF Development Bank.
Time has now expired.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Oropuchis.
Very much. Prime Minister, in light of your incomplete answer, could you indicate whether or not the NIDCO report that is complete would be made public?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I don't know what the report is, what's it going to look like, or what's it going to be, and until such time as the report is available, I would not make that commitment, but I expect, Madam Speaker, that a report like that should be in such a position that it could be laid in the Parliament if and when that decision is taken by the Cabinet.
Member for Oropuchis.
Thank you very much. Prime Minister, we just want to confirm that the NIDCO, I'm asking the question, you are not aware of the contents of a NIDCO report on the collapse of the Mosquito Creek that will cost $50 million to fix. And as Prime Minister, are you telling us that you really have never seen this report?
Madam Speaker, I run a government, I don't run a fish market. There's a Ministry of Works and Transport that has the responsibility for dealing with this report, and this report has not come before the Cabinet at this time. I just indicated that there are serious investigations underway, and therefore the Cabinet will await the outcome of these. And Madam Speaker, we are not anticipating, rather we are awaiting the serious technical investigations and the findings as reported by the experts.
Member for Caroni Central.
Prime Minister, will the Prime Minister inform this House whether the complaint against the Chief Parliamentary Counsel to the Judicial and Legal Service Commission will be withdrawn by his government?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I know nothing about any report that the Cabinet has to deal with to withdraw. That report, that matter is not before the Cabinet, and therefore I will not comment upon it.
Member for Barataria-Sanon.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Can the Prime Minister state whether he agrees with the position that the Chief Parliamentary Counsel is only authorized to draft laws with the Cabinet and/or Prime Minister's approval?
That's asking for an opinion. It's not within the standing orders. Member for Naparima. Member for Naparima.
Yeah, thank you. Will the Prime Minister state what role, if any, Trinidad and Tobago intends to play in a regional food security initiative led by Guyana and Barbados?
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, Trinidad and Tobago has always played any role required by the country in any of these regional initiatives. We have done so with instances of programs led by Belize, We have also had those situations with Guyana. The latest initiative is on the table, and if there is any role that Trinidad and Tobago can play towards regional food security, we will play that role, but we anticipate that such a role will be largely played by the private sector of Trinidad and Tobago, so we await the specifics of these proposals.
Member for Naparima.
Significant food import bill and the potential, given the crisis in the Ukraine, for wheat and other products to increase. Do you not think that Trinidad should be taking a leadership role in such an initiative?
Madam Speaker, Trinidad and Tobago cannot take a leadership role on Guyanese resources, and somebody should tell that member from Naparima that. This whole thing has to do with Guyana's land and Guyana's resources. And insofar as Guyana invites the rest of CARICOM, we will play a role. But to ask me to take a leadership role, Madam Speaker, is just to be annoying.
Member for Naparima.
Barbados seems to be significant in the CARICOM region,
what is your
and
story
we
with
seem
Barbados?
to be behind.
What is your story with Barbados? Every time you get up in this parliament, it's Barbados, 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 Barbados. What is wrong with you?
Member for Caroni Central.
Madam Speaker, will the Prime Minister advise if he is in receipt of reports of land grabbing made by the former Minister, Clarence Rambara? I believe that may have been asked and answered the question yet, please. So in the circumstances, I withdraw.
So you withdraw.
Urgent